Welcome everyone to another episode of Elbows Tight Podcast. It's your host Travis and John. John, how you doing today?
I'm doing excellent. How you doing?
Not bad, man. Can't complain. I wish the weather was a little bit better. It started really coming down when I was coming on the way over here.
I don't know. It's pretty nice from in here.
Yeah, we're inside the new podcast studio, aka John's downstairs family room. Right now, we the whole area is full of kids' toys in the dog kennel. It's really nice.
Well, only half of it.
Yeah.
The other half is still better than what we're in. So
Yeah, yeah. Slowly but surely, we'll start getting to hear it. But real quick before we go on to the beverage of the day, guys, go ahead and subscribe on whatever platform you're listening to the podcast. Give us a 5-star review. Actually, write a review too. Give us some feedback. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook at Elbows Tight Podcast on Facebook, and then on Instagram it's at Elbows Tight Pod. And then from there, you can get John and I's personal account, too. And then you can just follow us. And we're trying to be more active, like we always say. But having a day job where you don't have a cell phone with you, it's kind of hard to do some of that stuff. So if you guys could do that, please, 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 I greatly appreciate it. It's going to help us get the podcast even better and bigger. So we're looking for that feedback from you guys. So, but now that all that's out of the way, John, what do we got for the beverage of the day, bro?
Well, we got some Mac and Jacks from Redmond, Washington. We had the same beer brewer a couple weeks ago, but we tried a different one. This one's called Resolution.
This is really good. It's IPA.
An IPA, and I got Resolution because we also have Revolution coming up in about 2 weeks.
I see the
so I saw it, and I was like, yeah, I got to try it. But it's pretty good. 6.8%. Make sure we get a picture, and we'll post it up.
Mm-hmm.
Nice packaging, tastes great. So far I like it.
Weren't we talking about how sometimes we choose beer just because of the way that it looks?
Mm-hmm.
I almost grabbed it for the last podcast. It was like some raspberry stout or something like that, but it looked like it was gonna be very bitter, and I was like, John ain't gonna want to drink none of this. It's gonna be way too bitter for John. Because I know your palate now.
Well, I think I told you I wanted to get us that Sam Adams beer. I can't remember what it's called right now. Sam Adams, if you're listening.
On the rare occasion.
For one, it was sold out at the local Bevmo. I saw it was illegal in 15 states, but it is legal here. But the beer is 28% for the beer. It's about $220 for one.
That's the bourbon barrel stout, right?
Yeah, it was aged in bourbon barrels. We'll see if we can find some and try it out. But
when I was in San Diego, there was a microbrewery in San Diego called The Neighborhood, I think is what it was called, if I remember correctly. It's over in
Coronado?
No, it's in Gaslamp.
Oh, I got you.
But it's like a super small microbrewery, fantastic food, great beer. But that was the first time I ever had a bourbon barrel stout, and it was 18% alcohol.
Sounds great,
dude. The first drink I took, I was like, what is burning the inside of my body? It was so good. I had one glass of it, and I was buzzed. It was ridiculous. But it was so good. The flavor definitely was pure bourbon with a little bit of...
I've never tried them, so I'm going to keep my eye out.
You should try them, man. I can't believe you never tried them. Did you even know they were a thing until you saw that?
You know, I told you, Louisiana, like the beer of choice is Bud Light or Coors Light, and that's all there ever was. And then when I got to Seattle, and someone gave me my first Mac and Jacks, and it had like an orange in it, and you couldn't see through the glass, and I was like, what is this? And then from that first sip, my life was changed. The way I looked at beer. It was great.
Mac and Jack's good. I enjoy Mac and Jack's.
Mm-hmm.
Probably not my favorite, though. This is actually really good, though. This Mac and Jack is actually really good. I'm surprised. It's actually, if you guys are looking for, I would say this is a pretty good beginner IPA.
I agree.
It's very smooth, subtle, and it has a little bit of the hoppiness to it, but it's definitely not. It's definitely not overpowering. I've had some where it like gave me heartburn after the first drink. So
it's like rolling with a smooth blue belt that's been doing it for a few years versus a brand new white belt that just started out.
It's a great analogy. That's so funny. So what we want to talk about today, guys, though, is John and I have officially signed up for our first competition.
Yep.
That's November 16th?
November 9th.
November 9th.
Yeah, we have 10
I got it right the first time.
Yep.
15 classes?
10 classes until that day.
Oh, my gosh.
I've done all the math. I'm like, all right, how much time can I get in before then?
Did you have to use your toes?
Yeah. The new Common Core math was killing me.
Oh my gosh, speaking of that, we were at work and someone posted a picture of their kids' recent math like problem that they had to do and how they were supposed to solve it, and it took every adult in the office to try to decrypt what was going on in this picture. It was crazy.
And then it was interesting. We found out a couple people do it a different way.
Yeah. No, that's really what it comes down to, is they're just trying to show kids different ways of doing the math. To me, it was all confusing. All get out.
Mm-hmm.
Charles, when he does math like that, he straight counts it. I'm like, I don't blame you, man. I do the same thing. So, you excited for Revolution though?
I am. I'm kind of worried about my weight, if I'm going to meet it or not. I think I told you I chose the 181. So
under 181, right?
Yeah, but so I can't weigh over 181. Mm-hmm. So, weighing myself normally, I'm about this morning after 3 weeks of creatine was
looking big.
176. So I'm like, ooh, that's going to cut it a little close.
I mean, it's still, we got to weigh in, like, we have to weigh ourselves in gi beforehand so we know.
So that must put me like right at the
right
limit.
at it.
So
right at
I
it.
think the 2 weeks leading up to it, I'll just eat really clean.
Yeah.
And I'll probably stay off the creatine for that 2 weeks.
Yeah, your biceps are getting too big, bro.
I know, it's nice.
Katie comment on him yet?
No,
She's like, what you doing? Yeah.
No. I think the only thing she said was, your stomach doesn't look as defined. And I was like, what? This is happy weight. Yeah.
Happy weight. Whenever Lauderdale sees like something that you guys like, a video of you guys doing something around the house, I'm like, and there goes John, always shirtless.
Always. I'm just trying to be comfortable at home.
He's got like flip flops on, no t-shirt, no drawers, like just a pair of gym shorts, bro.
This is my house.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous, man, to tell you the truth. Just because I don't, it's like you don't know who you're going to go up against when you're there. So, and I don't know. I'm not worried about getting beat, but I don't want to get dominated. You know, that's one of my things that I'm a little worried about. Getting on the mat, and then all of a sudden I'm just, that was an experience.
Well, we have a strategy. As far as myself, I'm just going to go into the match. I'm going to look at working for a submission. I'm not going to worry about the points. I'm just going to work towards a submission. If I win by a submission, that'll be great because that's what I'm shooting for. If I happen to get some points along the way and I win that way, that's great.
Yeah.
But that's just the way I'm going to look at it.
Yeah, same. I'm going to go in there the same way. I'm going to just hunt for submissions. And I was thinking about it the other day about excuse me, you got the burps too?
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking about the other day about the whole like holding for 3 seconds to secure the position or to get the points, I mean. And I might subconsciously just hold it there just to hold the position and not even think about the points. That's what I was going through in my head. Like, well, if I get here, I can't go straight to the submission because I do have to hold the position for a second to make sure, because everyone's going to go buck wild the second they get on their back. And you go like neon belly or getting mount or something like that. Like all the videos is like everyone freaks out when the second their back touches the mat or someone gets hooks in or something like that. So I know I'm going to have to just hold it there for a second, let them use that little burst of energy, and then get after it. But that's
I don't think I mean, I'm as nervous as I am for us to go visit a new gym in 2 weeks,
true.
You know? That's as nervous as I get just because I don't know anybody there.
Right.
You know, expectations, the whole deal.
Right. And then you don't want to show up to a gym and then people are like, oh, great, here goes this white belt trying to dominate everyone. You know, it's like, that's not what we're here for, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, John kind of touched on it there. So we got a pretty busy schedule coming up for the podcast here, too. Next week we have Professor on, so you guys should keep an eye out for that one. I'm super excited about that one. That's going to be a very good one. You guys are going to hear straight from the man, the myth, the legend himself, our professor, our coach, our mentor. Hopefully it's a really good episode.
Yeah, I think if anyone has any questions they'd like us to ask our professor,
absolutely.
Go ahead and hit us up on Facebook or Instagram.
Yes,
let us know
please.
What question you'd like us to ask.
Yeah.
And we'll ask it.
Yeah. I really want to get into like when we start asking questions about just like his ideas behind like space and pressure and then, just like what goes through his mind when he's teaching something, like how does he define what is an important thing or an important like critique to give during a movement that he's teaching. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like what goes through his brain to be like, this is why I'm going to point this out and I'm not worried about this. So,
I know when I roll with him, he's really good at explaining, where I'm a little deficient. Like when
Yeah.
I was trying to move on him the other day, and he's like, "Well, you need to bring your head a little lower."
Oh yeah, for the arm triangle.
Yeah, I think he's really good at like those kinds of things when you
Yeah.
roll with him.
Yeah, I agree. He definitely right after we get done doing a 5-minute round, he'll stop and like, hey, so this is what you did wrong. That's why I didn't get it. I was doing this to prevent it, and this is how you can do to stop that. And every single time, I love rolling with them, man, because every single time
You learn something.
you learn something, right? And that's the perk of being a black belt, right? Is like you have all that knowledge. You're a professor, right? You're a teacher, which is awesome, because sometimes you'll roll with a higher belt, and then they'll get you 14 times, and then they'll, hey, good job.
In 5 seconds.
Yeah, and then they'll be like, hey, good job. And they'll walk away like, whoa, no. Can I just get a little bit of something? But not everyone wants to teach and tell you what you did wrong. They just kind of want to get it into,
Yeah, he's got good. I think one of the best things he's told me so far is we were rolling one time, and I wasn't even realizing I was doing it, but my entire body was tensed up.
Yeah.
Like legs, arms,
Ooh.
neck, everything was clenched the entire time we were rolling.
And he was like, why are you doing that?
He's like, you don't need to flex and tense up the entire time. If you feel me moving this way, then tighten up.
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
And that helped a lot because I was utterly exhausted from doing that the entire time.
That's so funny.
And I was like, oh, that's appreciated.
He mentioned something like that too. Just I don't know, it was a couple of weeks ago, but we got done. It was in gi, and we got done sparring, and he's like, you were very flexible, and not in the sense of flexibility as in anatomy, like you were very flowy, like you weren't so tense, kind of flexibility. You were kind of, you weren't flexing on everything and whatnot. And I was like, oh, well, that's good because that's what I'm shooting for.
Yeah, I try to think about that now.
Yeah, same. I try to tell other people about that now. I think the biggest tip that I always give newer white belts is like, I'm like, look, man, something no one's ever going to teach you, but just relax.
Yeah.
Like you may think you're more likely to put yourself in a really bad position if you freak out and then try to do something instead of just sitting there and thinking. But a brand new white belt doesn't know what he doesn't know, right? So
that's very true.
And then also after we have Professor on the following week, we are going all the way to West Seattle. John does not like traveling, if you guys couldn't tell. But we have a interview with this lady named Sonia. She is the owner of Combat Arts Academy in West Seattle.
Operator, yeah.
Yep. She is a brown belt. I've talked to her a little bit through emailing, setting all this up, and we're going to go do a class on a Sunday morning / afternoon, and then right afterwards, have her join us with the podcast and record inside her gym. If you guys have not seen it, you should check them out. It
looks fantastic.
Their gym is beautiful. Holy crap. And then also they have huge classes too. It's crazy how many people go there. So we're going to go and,
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, talk to her. I really want to hear her business aspect, and because Cody's the same thing, right? Cody's a purple belt, started his gym as a purple belt. I believe she was a purple belt when she started her school, and then it has just grown exponentially from what I've seen.
In reading her bio, it was really interesting because she said she opened the school, and she was just really worried about keeping the doors open at first.
Yeah.
Let me take this.
Uh-oh. So we're gonna go do that, and then she also has, if you guys want to look her up, she also has like a little business bio thing in Seattle Small Business where she talks about why she started her academy and whatnot. So I really kind of want to just dig in a little bit deeper with that, but she seems kind of cool. And Ashley, if you're listening, you are the one that set this all up. So thank you to Ashley setting up a whole nother episode for us. And I'm excited to see where that goes and what comes from that. Also, a bunch of good information should be there. And also hearing from a higher ranked female, she's a brown belt, like I said, seeing what she's gone through and how she's handled everything and her trials and tribulations through her jiu-jitsu journey, which would be good to hear. And like for people like our wives who Lordell recently started doing it, right? But I don't think she's fully committed. And I think one of the reasons why is because there's not a whole lot of females in in jiu-jitsu, right? So it's kind of hard we talked about it on Ashley's episode. It's kind of hard to convince women to do jiu-jitsu for themselves when all they see are nasty, sweaty guys rolling all over the mat, you know? I had to take a drink because this beer is so good. But so it'd be cool to hear from her. And then she's also had like a full reconstructive hip surgery, and she does like Muay Thai and all kind of stuff. So it's a very interesting person. So please, guys, be sure to listen to that episode also. And we're just trying to go out there and find more people outside of our school to listen to their stories, and whether they're white belts, blue belts, brown belts, black belts, you know, no belts, every interesting person we can. So
Yeah, I think it's great. We meet more people.
mm-hmm.
You know, it's fantastic.
Right. Even get the kids in on it.
Mm-hmm.
We're trying to do a kids episode, maybe like 5-10 minutes per kid. And
Well, I think it'd be cool if we have, you know, kids interview each other. I think
could
that'd
you
be
imagine
great.
what that would be like? It'd be like, okay, I need you to ask this question. So, do you like unicorns?
No, let's just let them flow with it. It has to be, you know, we'll have them ask about jiu-jitsu, how they got into it, you know, how it's going for them, things of that nature.
Yeah, I think
Who their number one is in their class, you know.
Yeah,
That'd be
right.
great.
Who's their main opponent that
Mhm.
they're hunting down? You know, Olivia. Speaking of devils, she's in the
Yeah, my daughter's down here watching the podcast right now. I told her she had to be really quiet.
yeah. Unlike Blaze, whenever we record a podcast, because then
Mhm.
he wants to gallop around and hit everything he possibly can. So
I was wondering if you mentioned on the gym we're visiting, when I was reading the bio, it was pretty cool because I don't know if you saw, another local jiu-jitsu gym was closing down, and she ended up
Iberian, yeah.
she ended up taking it over and making it a second.
Well, I didn't want to go too much into
Yeah.
her story.
Well, that's
you know.
brief, just brief.
Yeah.
If they want to, you know, read up on it, me, you know, I like to research,
Yeah, me too.
but
I feel like the thing we need to do more of too is researching people, because I feel like there's been a couple times where no offense to the guests, but it's hard to find information on them. You know, it's like we
Yeah.
don't know who their family is. Like we can get a hold of their family or something, but I would love to be able to, like how we did with Billy. We knew a lot about Billy before he came on.
yeah.
Sonia, we know quite a bit about. I wouldn't even say quite a bit, but we know something about her. Cody, we know some about Cody too. Oh, speaking of Cody, also, Cody's trying to get back on the podcast right now. Come and talk with us again. He wants to do an episode. Just give you guys a hint, in the middle of a jiu-jitsu class.
I wonder if it should be during the older kids class,
Ooh,
you know, because that way we don't miss our class, and we're all, you know, we're already there for the kids class.
yeah, right.
For an hour.
So, how you been liking our technique lately?
I've been enjoying class a lot lately.
Yeah. What's you've been retaining quite a bit, or like what's your favorite thing we've touched so far, since the last episode?
I really enjoyed the north-south choke.
Mm.
I liked going back over De La
Yeah.
Hiva.
Oh yeah,
Well, you know what was nice about the north-south is I remember when we went over it probably a year ago, and they showed that choke. And so when they went over it again yesterday with all the newer people, I saw things that I missed the first time. Like, I was never keeping my hand on that hip like I should have. So it was just easier to learn it the second time around.
Yeah. I was telling, excuse me. I was telling my partner, it was Pete, and I was like, when we started going over the north-south position, I was like, man, I absolutely love the north-south choke, because
that's your go-to.
I
north-south.
love it, man. Because it's just like such a dominant position, especially if you get that hand on the hip and you control that hip, and they're gonna squirm and do as much as possible. But it's such a dominant position. It's really it. And if the the more you sink in,
Yeah.
One thing that I didn't know that we got shown was if their face turns into you, to walk the ribs away and then
Right.
drive up with the ribs and then turning their face. I was like,
Yeah,
Man.
I used to just try to break their chin at that point.
Yeah, right.
I didn't know what I was doing was wrong. I was like, well, I'll just keep digging it in
Yeah,
there
I
till
was
you
just-
tap.
Whatever, right. So that was good to see. I definitely enjoyed that. That was probably the biggest takeaway that I saw on that one. But it was north-south lately has been really fun. The De La Hiva class was good. The whole De La Hiva to back take, though, straight over my head, man.
Well, so I think, and you can probably articulate it better than me. I never get the name right. What's that one move that I have the most trouble with? The Barabolo.
Oh, Berimbolo roll?
That's it. I tried to say it.
What would the barbecue roll, or what
Look,
would you call it the
let
other
me just
day?
tell you something. I know a lot of people like that roll, but I'm in my 40s. I got one rebuilt shoulder. The other one's ready.
He's basically a cyborg.
When you like do that roll, it feels like it puts tons of weight on my shoulders. I'm like, this is brutal.
I don't think you're doing it right. That's
You're
why.
probably right, but I'm like, I try, but I'm like, oh, the pain on the shoulders.
When we were
is
doing that,
intense.
when we were doing the warm up, and I like grab your hips to like guide you
Yeah, I'm like,
around
oh,
my
thank
leg.
you so much.
This is what friendship's all about, right here.
Well, and I think I told you, a lot of people when we're getting taught class, they'll be like, well, I don't really do this move, but I'm going to teach it. And I'm thinking, well, that's one I'm never going to use in my repertoire. It's just not going to happen.
Right. Like I was talking to someone about De La Riva and how personally I like De La Riva. I don't know, man. I feel like De La Riva gets countered very easily. You know what I mean? Unless you're quick with it, right? I don't know. Coach George kind of put it as it's an active position. You're not staying in De La Riva, right? It's just a gateway to get to a sweep or to a takedown or something like that.
Yeah.
Right. So I see it there, but I just don't have the arsenal of attacks from De La Riva. So what I do from De La Riva is I go De La Riva. I get that underhook grip right on my shin. And then I throw it into deep X, and I get the X guard sweep. That's about what I do from De La Riva. But watching the Berimbolo roll and how people get back takes from the Berimbolo roll, I'm like, I would really like to learn how to do that one.
Well, I showed you how I break the De La Riva pretty quick.
Yeah.
As long as I've got some energy. It's
Right.
pretty easy.
Yeah, John was like, all right, we had to do the positional sparring, and it was, hey, so you're going to start in De La Riva. Bottom guy, sweep or submit. Top guy, just pass guard, get out of De La Riva. John looks at me. He's like, I'm going to show you one time how I get out of De La Riva. Boom. Got out of it, got in side control. I was like, dang, that was good, man. He's like, all right, here we go again. Nope, never happened again. I think we were like 3-4 more times John tried.
Man.
He was so tired. Is that because you were on the shroom farm?
No, it was a Monday, so we did all the rolling
Oh,
before
okay.
class.
Yeah.
So I did all, before class, 4
Yeah.
or 5 good ones. It just always makes me tired by the end
Yeah.
of the class.
Like I like De La Riva, but I feel like I just need to get more familiar with it to get better. Obviously, I need to get more familiar with it to get better with it. But I just never really find myself in that position. That's the thing, right? So it's kind of hard to practice it. I could put myself on my back, right? But a lot of people that we roll with would just try to smash into mount or smash into half guard instead of standing
I do
up.
remember that used to be your biggest weakness was on the back. You
Yeah.
always said that was your
Right.
Yeah.
And I feel like now it's immensely better. I
Oh, yeah.
just like laying on my back now. I'm like, all right, cool. Just come to me and then let me do whatever I can to counter it or whatever.
I was thinking, as we have this white belt podcast, and we have so many new people in our classes right now.
Right.
I mean, I think we're almost sometimes we're at almost 30 people in the class.
And they're almost all white belts.
And we're all white belts. But when we say white belts, we mean they're literally, this may be their first, second, third class.
Yeah. Maybe doing it for a month.
Maybe. And I guess if anybody's listening, the one thing, and I think Travis touched on it a little bit earlier, is just remember to, I'm just giving them some tips here.
No, yeah.
Just breathe, calm down, and stay away from that gator roll. Somebody gator rolled me the other day. I was like, whew, that was rough.
Yeah. Oh, for the anaconda choke?
Yeah, it was kind of funny. On one of them, I was just kind of laying there on my back, and man, they must have been going 200 miles an hour for a good 3 or 4 minutes, and I was just recharging my batteries on the bottom. And when it was over, I was like, man, you put a lot of effort into that. I was like, sometimes you could just breathe, you just relax.
Yeah.
And,
if you notice your partner's not moving,
Yeah,
there's
or-
no reason for you to.
if they're not breathing heavy and you're pouring tons of sweat and you're just going nonstop, just relax.
Some
a little
people
bit.
pour sweat. Professor George, Cody, they if you start sparring with them, it is like you're taking a shower if you're underneath them. Because there's just dripping sweat all over
I think
you.
it's a good tactic. If you know what you're doing, you can drop it right in their eye, and for that split second, they're blinking. It's stinging.
It's like you like shake your head. And
Yeah,
all of a sudden,
like when George got his toes in my mouth that one time.
my
For 5
gosh.
seconds, I totally forgot about the roll.
Yeah.
I was just like,
I definitely have brushed someone's teeth with my toe one
oh
time.
yeah.
Yeah, that's no fun. But so
good stuff.
What were we talking about beforehand?
We're just giving them some tips on all those brand new guys we got.
Oh yeah. I constantly tell them all the time to just calm down. It's like it's okay. You don't got to 1,000,000 miles a minute, and we still get the same thing from higher belts too.
We're almost 2 years in. We're
Yeah.
over a year and a half at this point, so you can see a big difference from 1 month to a
Yeah.
year and a half.
No, it's true. It's Cody talked about it when we first started, right? It's like you'll look at your first class in 6 months. You'll look back at yourself on the first day you did jiu-jitsu, and then within 6 months, you'll be like, man, I can't believe I was doing that, you know? And it's true. We're coming up on 2 years of a year and a half, almost 2 years doing it, and it's a huge difference, man. It is an incredible difference, you know. And what makes it even crazier is when you do spar with someone that has zero experience, and now you're just, even as white belt, you can pretty much do whatever you feel like, you know. I get the scissor sweep probably about 4 or 5 times a class now, you know. And I remember looking back at a video of George and I sparring. It was probably the first week of the school, and I'm pushing into his like half guard knee shield, and then I think it was like 2 seconds of doing that, and I was on my back.
Oh yeah.
And he just scissor sweeped me. I was like, dang, man. And now I do it. Yeah. Now I'm like, oh, you go ahead. Oh no, you're pushing into me.
Talking to the new guys, they're like, man, you guys are so good. I'm like, what? We're garbage.
We're not good.
We're not good at all. Are
Oh,
you kidding me?
man.
Watch this. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just funny.
Yeah.
that, you know. But that's how it feels after, you know, if you're brand new and someone's doing it for a year, it feels like they're leagues ahead of you.
Right.
You know.
Right. I would love to hear some feedback on what your guys' you at home or in your car or whatever. If you're a white belt, what is your biggest like weakness right now? And I understand in a sense everything is your weakness, but I mean, like, what is the hardest mountain for you to overcome right now when it's in jiu-jitsu class? Is it open mat when you don't know exactly what to do? Or is it like trying to understand a technique when you don't have a firm understanding of the first move that you're doing in the first place? You know what I mean? So trying to learn it from that perspective, like what is your biggest like hurdle?
But we can start that. What's yours, Travis?
My biggest hurdle right now? Ooh, man, I don't know. I don't really know what my biggest hurdle is right now. I think my mindset now is just trying to get better with what I already know. You know, it's like I want to learn new techniques, but I feel like I don't also, because I don't want to overload my brain, because like we were getting good at the De La Hiva, and it's like, okay, I just want to work on De La Hiva for a little bit, you know. I just don't. I want to just get better and better, and slowly add tools in my toolbox, not just open it up and dump a 500-piece set into it and just let it spill out. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably my biggest hurdle, is picking and choosing what technique to add to my toolbox right now, because I can't add everything. And no disrespect to our instructors, but we learn something new probably, you know, every day, because there's so many techniques out there, and it's just like me kind of cherry pick what I feel like is going to fit my game the most right now. So
That makes sense.
what about you?
Well, so for me, when I think about the biggest problem I have so far, and I don't know if it's a problem, but like when I'm rolling live, I still would say my biggest difficulty is passing someone's guard. If they really have it locked in, especially like Phil, you know, like the only way I got past his last time is I had to, you know, slide my knees under him, jump up, kind of like stand up all the way, you know, push a leg down, and then I broke it.
Oh yeah.
But just passing guard is still a challenge for me, and I don't know why, but it still is.
Yeah, sorry, I got a bunch of text messages from Lauderdale. I'm gonna give her a call real quick.
Go ahead.
Just want to pause.
No, I'll just keep rambling.
Okay.
Or I'll put Olivia on there. Olivia, you want to put on his headphones? You want to try it out? Go ahead. So my daughter's going to jump on here. Maybe we'll get some kid perspective. Yeah, just put them on your head. And then you got to say hi to the mic and introduce yourself. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Olivia.
You got to step a little closer to the mic. So Olivia is my 12-year-old daughter, she's been doing jiu-jitsu for probably, what do you think about it? A year now? A little over a year?
Well, I think I've been doing it longer than you. This close?
Yep, closer, like that. Like you're almost going to eat it like an ice cream cone.
Ew. Okay.
What, about a little over a year?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about it?
It's fun and it's a really good workout.
What's one of the biggest challenges you have?
I'm not good at takedowns, and we're standing up on the mat.
Well, standing up's interesting. We don't really do a lot of stand-up. Most of the rolls always start from a sitting position. I know myself and a lot of the guys in class, especially those competing, we practice the stand-up now. But I will generally ask my partners if it's okay to start from stand-up, and that's how I get my practice in.
Mm.
Who do you think is your biggest challenge in class, in your kids' class?
Riley.
Riley the animal. We've mentioned Riley a couple times previously.
She's tough.
She's tough, but she also was doing 3-a-days for probably the last year and a half, making classes. You know.
And she's awesome at it.
There you go, Riley. You get a shout out. So, what do you think as far as coaching in the classes? Are you feeling like you're getting good coaching? Is it sometimes too much technique? You can't soak it all up? What are some difficulties in class?
I feel like they're good techniques. It's just a lot to learn at one time. Like when they show us it and then we have to go right into it, sometimes I just like kind of mess up and I don't know how to exactly apply all the techniques to when I'm rolling. So.
You find it to be a good workout?
Yeah.
What would you tell some kids that are thinking about joining jiu-jitsu?
If you're going to do jiu-jitsu, you have to be really serious about it because there's a lot of commitment and it's tough, but I mean, it's really fun.
So if they're on the fence, they're not sure, you think they should give it a go?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, is Travis ready now? Yeah. All right, that was my daughter, Olivia. Thank you for filling in for Travis for a few minutes. Sorry, we got a brief intro to some kid talk on the podcast there.
Oh, there we go. Sorry, guys, for having to do that, but
I liked it.
I'll most likely have to answer a phone call from Lord. I don't know what's going on. It's probably about the house. We're looking to buy a house, and we got a counter offer today on one of the houses. So we'll see. If it was important, she knows I'm over here, so she would have told Katie to call you to call me.
Absolutely.
So. Oh, your headphones all right?
Yeah, it's good. It just sounds a little odd right now.
Sounds loud? You want me to turn you down?
No, it's just a little off.
Oh, a little off. So what are you looking forward to the most out of the upcoming stuff with the podcast and life and everything like that?
Oh, me? Well, I'm definitely looking forward to the competition. That's going to be a little, I don't even think it'll be nerve-wracking at this point. Luckily, Katie's busy, so she can't come watch.
Oh, my gosh.
Since
could you imagine her yelling?
Since I know no one's going to be there watching me, I think I'll be much more relaxed.
Right.
I'm excited to try that class in Seattle.
That's going to be so much fun. I am excited for that, too.
That should be a lot of fun. I think it's going to be great to get Professor on here. I know he listened to all the podcasts recently.
Yep.
And, another guest I'm really looking forward to get on here is Ashley's father.
Yeah, that's right.
You know,
if he's listening to this, we're trying to work out our schedules right now to come down to his gym, his school, and drop in there and the record in there. I think that could really like be our little niche area of like dropping it at a school and then doing a podcast after the roll. That'd be so much fun, man.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't tried it like that, so it'll be interesting for sure.
Yeah. Seattle will be the first one. Even if Professor wants to do it. Professor, if you're listening, we could just do it right after a class. We could spar and then hang out for an hour after class and have some fun. So,
well, that's true.
Yeah, those are probably my biggest things, too, that I'm looking forward to. Also, just life in general. You know, recently married, so we're trying to still get all that stuff taken care of. There was so much to go on when you first get married. It is ridiculous. I was not expecting it. Like going to the courthouse, getting like the certified documents, and then now I got to get her on her and Charles on my insurance, and you know what the coolest part is introducing her as my wife to people, though. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if you've ever felt that, you know, because you're such a cold-blooded person. But when you introduce your fiance as your former
I'm
fiance,
not cold-blooded. I mean, I am for the most part. But Olivia's like, yeah, he is.
yeah. But introducing her as my wife right now is pretty cool too. And now that she's doing jiu-jitsu, the whole family's doing it. So whenever Lauderdale and I start sparring, Charles wants to come over and jump in. So that's pretty cool too. So
yeah, I still think it would be good to get her on as a guest one time.
Yeah,
it's brand new to jiu-jitsu, so I think that's a perspective.
I'm down. You know,
I wish we would have been doing this.
I mean, it's real cool, but I just.
Well, I mean, I wish we would have been doing this the day we started.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we decided to do this while we were in Japan at the beginning of the year, right? Like It was kind of like, hey, we should start a podcast since we're brand new to jiu-jitsu. And I mean, it's crazy to think this is what, episode 12, 13, and
yeah. We're doing good for full-time workers, lives, families, all that stuff.
We're trying to, put more marketing out there and like hunt for more people. And, I think the biggest thing that's going to help the podcast is word of mouth.
Oh, for sure.
Really, you know what I mean? Just getting lots of people on here and just a variety of people and whatnot. So, but
absolutely,
everything's coming to fruition, man. Things are looking up for the podcast, for jiu-jitsu, everything. But I don't know, man. You got anything else?
No, we're good. We just wanted to give an update. What's going on?
That's right.
Give you guys something good to listen to.
Yeah. Be on the lookout for upcoming episodes. The Instagram's going to have a bunch of our pictures and stuff like that from the competition. Hopefully, we got to get our El Presidente of the social media marketing connoisseur to come and take pictures and whatnot. No filters, though. So
hey, if we see anybody at Revolution, we should have a couple sweatshirts me and Travis will be wearing with Elbows Type Podcast. So
that's right, baby.
Feel free to come up and say
what's up. Please come say what's up, man. That'd be so cool if that actually happens.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, you don't know.
I'll feel like a superstar for at least 5 seconds before I get tapped out.
Yeah. How funny would that be? You get on the mat like, are you John from Elbows Type Podcast? I am. I'm sorry I have to do this.
I'm like, don't worry, it's not the first time.
So, hey, but I appreciate it, guys. Don't forget to please subscribe. Give us a 5-star review. Write a review. Tell your friends, family, everyone. Follow us on Instagram at Elbows Type Pod. Follow us on Facebook, like the Facebook page, Elbows Type Podcast. Do whatever you can to get us out there. Word of mouth, like we just said, is the biggest way we're going to grow. So the podcast is growing. We see the numbers. It's crazy to think we have people all over the world listening to us just ramble on about jiu-jitsu and good beer with some good friends. So thank you guys so much for hanging out. Know this is a short one, but more to come. So thanks, guys. And remember, no oil checks here.
Ooze.